This is a shortened version of the Alumless show where we take a few minutes to interview some of the leaders in our space across the country, around the world. And today I'm excited to introduce Jillian Cole. Jill, how's it going?
It's so good. How are you doing?
Great to see you. Jill, we have known each other for a little while now. You are now the chief of staff at University Advancement at Colgate. But our sort of knowledge of each other and connects all the way back, I don't know, more than a decade now, I think, when you originally kind of came up through the alumni space as a leader in the career-focused engagement programming area where you guys were really doing some interesting stuff. And I've kind of been tracking your career ever since and have watched as you've became sort of the director and then an AVP and now the chief of staff there at Colgate. So I wanted to have you on and ask you a bit about what's going on at Colgate and your new role. You recently have been promoted to that leadership position from the background in alumni engagement. Talk a little bit about how your background in alumni engagement has been helpful as you've taken on the chief of staff role, and then maybe what adjustments have you had to make as you've sort of analyzed the whole shop and have been thinking about how to tackle things.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. Thanks for having me. I think as a chief advancement officer or chief engagement officer, you're thinking holistically about the alumni experience pretty naturally. So that has always been something that you're always thinking about. Okay, what are we doing for our recent alumni? What are our principal gift prospects thinking about? You're always thinking about where we have different touch points for different people throughout the course of their alumni experience. And so that I think has translated really well to the chief of staff role, where you have to, again, kind of be looking really holistically at what we're doing within advancement. So that has been really nice. I feel really lucky that Colgate has prioritized alumni engagement. So I'm, as you mentioned, coming from a AVP of alumni engagement position. So I was on the leadership team. I was directly reporting to the vice president. I was in that position for about a year prior to this move. And so I was at the table where we were talking about what was going on within advancement. I know that experience is something that has really helped my transition to chief of staff because I have some context for how decisions were made and why we got there. So a lot of the kind of collaboration across leaders within the team has been something that I've experienced.
You've had a seat at the table, and you've had a chance to sort of be privy to conversations as you're imagining the future state of the advancement organization at Colgate. The decision was made to combine alumni engagement and annual giving, which is something that we talk about often on Alumless as really a key dynamic within an integrated advancement model where you're really sort of thinking about philanthropy and generosity as a key ingredient to successful alumni engagement. But maybe talk a little bit about why the leadership team at Colgate made the decision to merge alumni and annual giving, and what do you think are some of the implications about how this will improve engagement moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. You all talk about it quite a bit. Everyone's talking about the possibilities that exist when those teams are working really closely. And so for us, a little bit of it was circumstance, right? I was transitioning out of the AVP for engagement role. And then shortly after, our amazing AVP for annual giving took a new opportunity. So we had two vacancies there. And so it was the right time for us to think about what we could do in combining that position just structurally. And so that was kind of the reason the time is now. But that position is vacant. We're on the search right now for the AVP for alumni engagement and annual giving. But the teams are already doing it. I'm overseeing those teams for now. And I know they're sick of me talking about all the amazing opportunities to work more closely together, but they're doing a great job of it. And I think they're learning so much about the possibilities that can come from increased collaboration. I think one of them that I have found to be really valuable is just as it relates to our volunteer management and the experience of our volunteers. They weren't thinking about kind of, okay, the annual giving team is doing this and alumni engagement team is doing this, right? They're not paying attention to the differences between the departments. And so it's been great when our volunteers were telling them what we're doing here, and they're so excited about it because they can see the possibilities around our events, what that looks like, how to make those as productive as possible, the messaging, the follow-up, the intention of those events, all of those types of things. So it's been really nice. The teams are responding well to it, and the volunteers are really responding well to it as well.
I love that thinking because when you think of volunteerism, I mean, it really does live at the intersection of all of these pieces where we know volunteers who are more engaged are much more likely to be donors, right? And like it sort of fits nicely in the heart of the strategy as it relates to sort of advancing generosity at the university. But let's talk a little bit about what works at Colgate. What events or programs or initiatives seem to work the best? And maybe what's an example of something that you've tried and it hasn't worked as well, and or at least not as well as you might have hoped or guessed, I suppose.
Yeah, everything works perfectly all the time. So we're so lucky. I think for us, events work best when there's that true, back to the collaboration, the shared success in it, right? When we're doing an event or a program, whatever it is, that's really collaborative in nature. So you have multiple departments on the same page, and that always breeds the most success for us. For us at Colgate, we love the number 13. It is our lucky number. Colgate Day is every Friday the 13th. And so whenever there's a Friday the 13th, which we have no control over, our Colgate alumni and students and community, we celebrate Colgate Day, and that really works well for us.
Cool.
And
How does that occur in a year? Like once or twice, or is
it
there?
totally depends.
Okay. Yeah.
Last year there were 3 during the course of the fiscal year. This year there are 2 in back-to-back months, not ideal. And so it really, some of that, you kind of have to play with it. So it's amazing tradition that is consistent, but given the fact that it changes over the course of the year, you have to kind of respond to it. We had one this past fiscal year in December. As you can imagine, that became a challenge, right? Because it's a calendar year-end push for us. And then we had one in June as well. And that we were really focusing on students and alumni connecting wherever they were in the world for summer internships or getting ready to come to Colgate, all of that. So that's it. That's a really great tradition that people can get behind. And we have events around the country, usually 20 or 30 events on that day. And it's really, really fun. So that's one that we love for sure.
I feel like Friday the 13th is historically supposed to be like the movies, right? It's supposed to be a scary bad day, and you guys have flipped the script. And so yeah, sort of hearing you, it's like, okay, that sort of stands there on the calendar, but you have all these other things that are happening. And, sometimes it can pose both an opportunity and a challenge of scheduling of resources. As you're thinking about this evolutionary state at the university, what gets you most excited about what's happening next or what you're envisioning next in leadership team at Colgate for university advancement?
Yeah, there's so much that I'm really excited about. So that makes every day, like you're going in and we have 2 vacancies right now within our AVPs. So the prospect of adding 2 new members to our leadership team, our director of annual giving position is also vacant. It's a little terrifying to think of the vacancies we have, but so exciting to think about bringing new people and new perspectives, adding some really great talent to our team. That is always exciting to me to think about what new possibilities that will open up for us when we have some new really key members of the team on board. Also, we're in the middle of a campaign, and it's a $1 billion campaign, and we definitely are not stopping there, but that's something we've seen really amazing success with so far. And I think you can feel it on campus, the impact that has had, and thinking about the impact it will continue to have for future students in terms of the accessibility of Colgate and really making it this incredible residential liberal arts experience and building upon that. It's such an exciting time to be at Colgate. Our third century plan is incredibly ambitious, and there's just so much, certainly everyone's paying attention to what's going on in higher ed, but when you're at an institution that just has such great momentum, it's really fun to be a part of and to think about who else is going to be joining that team to help keep it going.
I think so. And you mentioned before we hit, record on this that actually in the next hour, you're going to be sifting through sort of candidates for the first time for one of those leadership roles, which is really exciting. So tell me a little bit, which roles you said the annual giving role is either on the market or in process. Talk a little bit about if anyone was like, I want to join Jillian Cole's in the team there, what should they do? Which role should they be looking out for?
Absolutely. We would love that. So we have an AVP for alumni engagement and annual giving. That's a kind of merged position for us that we were referencing earlier. So that's a great opportunity to lead those teams. We're working with a search firm, Whit Kiefer, so everyone can work through that firm there for both of these positions. So annual giving and alumni engagement. And then the other position is the AVP for individual giving. So they'll be overseeing most of our frontline team, our leadership team, major gifts, and athletics fundraising and engagement and prospect management team. So that's a really important position for us in thinking about managing that frontline team. So excited about that opportunity as well. And then the director of annual giving position is also open. So folks can certainly reach out to me or reach out to the search firm for sure.
A really exciting moment for you and the team there. With every
Yeah.
season of change comes opportunity, right? And it's always exciting to sort of think about what the future will entail with these senior colleagues and all the exciting programs and initiatives that will come with them. Well, I want to wrap up our Alumless Takes episode here with recommendation of some sort, a book, a movie, a show, a podcast, a recipe, could be anything.
Yeah, I love podcasts. I do a lot of driving. I listen to so many during the course of a day. Probably one that is kind of in my mind right now, something I'm thinking a lot about was Adam Grant's recent interview on work life with Linda Babcock at Carnegie Mellon. They were talking a lot about the importance of saying no and how to protect your time, and also thinking a lot about team members and how we're rewarding those who are doing non-promotable tasks at work. And there's just so much of that conversation that's staying on my mind, both for my own time and then certainly for our vice president, Kim Harris. Like there's so much about her time that I want to be thinking about of what are we saying yes to? How can I, if we're adding something, what can I help subtract? That sort of thing. So that podcast is staying on my mind and trying to figure out how I can help implement some of it.
Jillian Cole, thank you so much for joining us. And thanks to our presenting sponsors. We have Protopia, Max Lyson, the team, and Steve Rittler from Alumni Q. And we're actually going to be introducing a new sponsor, which is Givesy. So Givesy is going to be one of our presenting sponsors this fall. Just got word of that this morning. So really excited to have them aboard as a partner in all of this. But Jillian, thank you so much. Good luck to you and the rest of the advancement team at Colgate. I really appreciate you joining me on Alumless Takes.
Thanks for having me.